all systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Ship It Nation YouTube station? Back Tuesday here to break down, I believe it's a 12-game slate now because that Yankees game did get waxed. 12, is it 13 or 12 or 13, something like that? I don't know. I'm getting the massive slates confused with yesterday and today. Usually Mondays we don't have full slates like we did yesterday, but that's what the All-Star break will do to you. Looking to dive back in here. We got Coors Field back in our lives here. Gyiraszin and much better matchup for both teams, I think, today than yesterday. And yesterday still yielded some runs. Obviously, you have the Wrigley game as well, but much different conditions today than yesterday. Got some other good spots across the board, and we don't have very good pitching. We have one guy that kind of stands out above the rest in that same matchup that everyone wanted to play yesterday back in our lives out in Seattle. But we'll do our best to kind of break it all down here. Bring you in, man. Happy Tuesday. What's going on, brother?
Man, glad to be back after the week off last week. We, with the All-Star break, so glad to be back at it here. But, yeah, we got an interesting slate, big one. We already lost the one, so, yeah, it is 12 games. But, interesting one to break down. Like you said, pitching ain't too good. I mean, the guys you want to pay up for are Burns, up at the top, Gausman. It's like you just don't want to pay up for those guys. So, tough one. I think we're going to have to maybe make some uncomfortable pitching decisions, especially we're sitting with a game total of 13 out there in Coors Field. So we know all the optos, everybody's going to be pushing toward that game, both sides of the field. So that one should be interesting. But, yeah, interesting slate here. I think I got a couple pitchers that maybe be a little different than a few that I might jam in, especially on DK. It seems to be a little easier to jam in Burns on FanDuel with some Coors Field bats, but not so much on DK. So we're going to have to play some cheaper guys. Looks like my Tiger out here out in Wrigley might be, Valdez might be a pretty popular play here today. Castillo might be pretty popular. So we'll have to see if we can do a little, make ourselves a little different here today in the slate. It looks like most of the masses are going one way for the bats, right? Like everybody's going to have a piece of that Coors game. I mean, pretty much. So if you're willing to fade it, you're going to play some high-end pitching today. So interesting way to see how we can attack it. So, let's see what we can do.
Yeah, should be fun to break it down. I'm going to say hi to a couple people here in chat. Michael W., Sean Sully, Little Neck, Hart, Gangrene, Ricky Rose, our guy Marquee Sports, Bob O's, my guy Newens, fellow Wisconsinite in here. Hago, Jake Swales. I always appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton here. And day 2, Gyiraszin here. I know you weren't on the show with me yesterday, but Stone 2.0. And I had, like I said yesterday, right, I had the team add in some of the stats that you and I talk about here on this show all the time in terms of their pitchers, in terms of the Sierra rankings, their fly ball percentage, their ground ball percentage, home run per 9, and goes through really everything we have and has our pitcher rankings right here. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to use this to talk through as much of the slate as we can here and really use it to kind of show it off as one of the premium tools over here. Obviously, we have the Slate station that we typically showcase here, but I did want to bring up the Stone 2.0. Nice part about this too, Gyiraszin, is you can just start clicking in guys in here and just take a look and then run optimized teams, hit the save, and then go to your save lineups and upload it right to DraftKings like I showcased yesterday. So let's start pitching. We'll go 8K and above, and it's a pretty gross top tier, but in terms of down at 8K, you got Zach Thornton facing off against the, I got to say it, the best record in baseball. But all the way from him all the way up to Chase Burns. Chase Burns 11-5 after signing the biggest contract in history, something like that. He got absolutely just straight paid from the Reds for a good reason. 11-5 though on this slate here. Do you really want to prioritize him over the Coors Field bats because you really can't play the Nationals comfortably with an 11-5 pitcher unless you kind of punt the SP2 option. And there is some cheaper guys on the slate, like a David Peterson in that win game out there in Wrigley, 20-mile-an-hour winds blown in. But really break down this top tier. How do you see it? Are you getting up to Burns? Are you messing with Kevin Gausman in a pretty tough matchup overall? Drew Rasmussen has a leash concern, and now coming off after the extended break, doesn't really seem super safe up there, even though he is a solid pitcher. And it's just because the Rays, right? The way Tampa handles their starting pitchers, it's not great. And then Kyle Bradish at 9K against one of the hottest teams in baseball, and the Red Sox feels tough to play. And really, that's kind of the summary of this top tier. It feels gross, and majority of my teams probably don't even have one of these guys outside of maybe spend up to be contrarian Chase Burns, who's probably going to be super low owned on the slate despite being the best overall starting pitcher. Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough here, especially with the 8K. I mean, I'll start with Thornton. I'm not interested in Thornton at all. Urania either against a Cardinal team. He just doesn't have enough case for me. Just hasn't been very good here recent times. We get to Bradish sitting at 9K. From what I'm on, I mean, we're going to have to watch the weather in that one for sure. I just have a hard time with Bradish. I mean, he's been up and down. He's had 7 innings here. Almost 7 innings, 3 out of his last 5 starts. He's had a pretty long leash. I think what just worries me is his walk rates have been really high to both sides of the plate. So that does concern me. He's at 11% walk rate to the left side, 10% to the right side. Strikeout rate about average, 22% to the left side, 24.5% to the right side. You got 4 bats maybe that you can attack over here on the red hot Red Sox here. Seem to be just mowing everybody down. I didn't see they end up winning yesterday, Nate. I didn't see if they won.
I didn't see if they won. Let me look.
I know they were tied late. I didn't see if they came back and win. I went to bed.
I'll have to look. But go ahead and keep talking.
Well, that'd be like 14 in a row or some bullshit like that. But like you said with Rasmussen, I can't go with Rasmussen. I think he's got some pitch count concerns. Thanks, Warren. Says they won. But so Rasmussen, I'm a little concerned with him. 9,700. That leaves me the 2 guys up at the top. I mean, you're going to sit there and look at Gausman. Gausman's been, he just hasn't been the greatest. I mean, he's been walking quite a few guys in his last few starts. He's been struggling a little bit against lefties. Going to see 7 lefties from Tampa. I would leave Gausman in my pool because I do think pitching is a little bit weak today. I don't really have too many guys that I would really consider playing. Gausman is one. I just don't like his price at 10K over on FanDuel or over on DK. Looking at Burns. Now, you like everything about Burns' matchup, right? Like, I mean, we like the park. We like him being out there in Seattle. He's got a 28% K rate. We like that. But, you sit and you look at his game log. I mean, I'm going to pay 11K for a guy who has 7 points, 17.9, 18, 22, 25, 17. I mean, he hasn't had consistent good back-to-back starts that he's got over 25 points since like middle of May-ish. I mean, it's kind of concerning for me. So Burns does have a good matchup. I do like the park, like I said. I'd leave him in my pool. I do like him on FanDuel. It's a little easier to jam him in over there. But to pay up to get some of these bats you're going to want on DK, I think Burns would be an easier fade for me today, even though I do like him. But if you do want to fade that Coors Field game, I think Burns should be a click that you should probably have in your lineup today just because he does have the highest strikeout capability here today. So, but yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, we got a couple guys that, below 8K that I think are going to be pretty popular, as I mentioned at the top of the show with Castillo and Valdez. I think are going to be a pretty popular pairing on DK today. But, I think it's interesting in the fact for Burns. I mean, if Burns was going to be really chalky, I think, it'd be an easy fade for me. But just because he's not going to get the ownership, he does have the highest strikeout percentage up on the slate here today. He does have a good park. So I'm interested in some Burns, and then you're going to have to make some decisions how much of that Coors Field game you're going to want. But yeah, I mean, we only got you think about it, Nate, we got 12 games. We only got 6 pitchers on DK that are above 8K, and we only got 4 above 9K. So you generally don't see that. At least it seems like we at least have some kind of pitching options. And normally I always say on a pitching slate, am I concerned about getting bombed out by pitching? That's not the case for me today. So I feel comfortable playing lower tier type pitchers that maybe I'm looking for outs, or maybe I'm looking for, in a good matchup. So it is kind of easier to fade Burns, just on top of the surface. But when you're looking at ownership percentages, for me, I think Burns is a pretty good play today.
Yeah, so the thing that worries me with Burns is not only his salary. Does he have the highest ceiling on the slate? Absolutely. The strikeout prop is sitting at 7.5, by far and away the best. It is juiced to the under. The thing that worries me is his out prop is sitting at 15.5, right? That's a little worrisome to me there. They're expecting 6 innings, or not even 6 innings, 5 innings, really. 5-6 innings, somewhere in that ballpark. That's a little worrisome to me when you're paying 11.5 on a slate like this. However, I do think at ownership, I mean, he's going to be 15% owned, I would think, on this kind of slate with the highest ceiling potential of really any of these guys. I mean, maybe you can argue a little bit, right? Kevin Gausman, a Drew Rasmussen, if they let him go, can get there. But both of those matchups aren't very good for strikeouts overall in Toronto and Tampa Bay for opposing starting pitchers. So you can say Chase Burns probably has the highest ceiling on the slate. Maybe you might argue a guy like Luis Castillo on the other side of that game for much cheaper there. Outside of him, I really don't love this top tier. I really don't want to mess with Kevin Gausman at 10K against the Tampa Bay Rays, who really don't strike out. Gausman hasn't looked the best as of late. Yeah, if you want to spend up to be contrarian, but he's going to be similar ownership to Chase Burns. I'd rather just play Chase Burns if picking between the two. So for me, up top, it's really Chase Burns and really nobody else. I mean, maybe a Walbert Urena at 8,600. Hits kind of smoke and mirrors with his metrics, right? He's kind of getting away with some Babbitt stuff and things like that. But, I mean, at 8,600 at no ownership, I don't love picking on the Cardinals, but if you really wanted to stomach another guy up here, I think that. And then Drew Rasmussen ranks really good in our stuff. I can't trust the Tampa pitching staff, especially after the All-Star break and the extended the time off for Rasmussen. We saw it with Miz yesterday, getting pulled after 65 pitches. I don't know. All right. I haven't seen any quotes. Like there was some manager speak. Pat Murphy talked about Miz yesterday that we kind of glanced over at least on the show. I don't know if there's anything coming out from Rasmussen and Tampa there. But yeah, it's really just Chase Burns for me up top. And like I said, majority of my teams probably won't even have anyone above 8K. Urena would be the other guy that kind of just close your eyes and just take a shot on maybe and just hope that he continues to get away with smoke and mirrors. But let's jump down below 8K and talk about where a majority of the people are going to go. The highest owned pitcher on the slate is going to come below 8K. He's going to be 7,600 on the other side of that Chase Burns. Luis Castillo, really hard. We just saw what Brian Wu did yesterday on the opposite side. Now, Castillo at his current state isn't Brian Wu, but, I mean, Castillo's the safety and the floor plus the matchup with strikeouts for this Reds team and the ballpark. It's kind of tough to get away from him, but playing Castillo into heavy chalk at the current form of his career doesn't feel like the best slate, especially if you want to go and play that Coors Field game like I do. From a bats perspective, I was kind of all in on the game yesterday. I'm going to be going right back to it. Do I really want to pay Castillo with everyone else? Not sure. Framber's a nice pivot right there, I think, at $200 more in that really good win game for pitching in Wrigley. So I think Framber's pretty interesting. Brandon Sproat, if you want to take a shot on him, I think he's interesting. He's got some upside there. And then really it's just kind of punting down, kind of plugging your nose and playing a guy like Imai, I think, at 6,800 against the Fish. I think you could mess with guys like Kumar Rocker and just bet on, hey, maybe he finally figures it out. He's got a pedigree, hasn't come to fruition. More times than not, he's bombed your lineup. And then David Peterson, all the way down at 5,500 in that same win game there. So talk to me this lower tier where majority of the people's teams are going to be anchored around two of these guys down here in this range.
Yeah, I'll start with Castillo, actually. Castillo, as you said, I mean, I feel like the opposite side as I do with Burns. Like Castillo's going to be pretty chalky, especially on DK, in my opinion. I mean, you're sitting there looking at a guy and just looking at his game log and like 7 starts, he hasn't had more than 5 Ks. He's got like a 5.30 ERA at home. He hasn't been very good. He hasn't been very good against lefties so far this season. He's got a 227 ISO. Ground ball percentage is pretty low at 34%. Fly ball percentage is pretty high, almost 35%. He's getting barreled up 12% against lefties. He's been pretty good against righties. Now he's going to see Blade. We obviously know Ellie Cruz, Friedel, Arroyo. So he's going to see, he's not going to see as many lefties as a lot of teams could throw out there at him here today. But, I mean, I still think that for me, I could see as many reasons to poke holes in it as I could see some reasons that people like it. So for me, I mean, just knowing he's going to be pretty popular, playing like a tournament type game where I feel like everybody's being steered to certain ways. Like to me, I think I would just fade Castillo, to be honest with you, and leave him be. I do like Framber. I think Framber is in a pretty good spot. Last time out, Framber was really good. I mean, I'll call him a baby and a bitch again so that, maybe he does come out and have a good game. But last 2 out of 4 starts, he's had 9 Ks. He had 2 starts in there where he struggled, but he had 8 Ks before that. I mean, he's looked pretty good. I think, against the Cubbies here, he's going to see pretty much a bunch of righties. He does have a 15% K rate, but we know he's got a bunch of ground balls. I think Framber is a guy that, like you said, is a pretty good pivot. Amai's my favorite pitcher on the slate. I don't know if it's just because I'm biased, Nades. Like, seems like every time we talk about this dude, he comes out for us. Like, he comes out and shows out for us. And it seems like I'm going to put him in, like the category, like, it's like Castillo. If he's chalky, I don't want to play a guy like Castillo when he's chalky. Like, like when Amai's chalky and, it's just like, I just feel like I'd just rather leave him alone. Like he's not being talked about here today. He gets a Miami team that, he is a favorite, -125. So we do like that. I mean, he's got Stowers top of that lineup. Grit, Conine's got some Ks, Hernandez, Mac. I mean, they do have 1, 2, 3, 4 bats that are low K bats, but I mean, I think Amai can get it done. If he can get the ball over the plate, that's been his problem. He's just been walking too many guys. 14% walk rate to the left side, pretty much a 14% to the right side. So I think Amai is interesting from a tournament perspective. I think he'd be a guy that I'm definitely interested in. And then, if you want to look at somebody like David Peterson against the Tigers, I'd much rather see a guy like Peterson going up against the Tigers from the left side. I think that would be a play that I could stomach. Maybe, it's just hard. I think Rocker's one of the guys that you could play, but that'd be my whiskey play of the day there. I don't know, man. I think I actually prefer the White Sox, the lefties of the White Sox against Rocker, but I still think Rocker could get some outs today. I don't love it, but it's there. If you wanted to go with Matthew Liberatore against the Angels, you could look that way. I mean, it's just hard to play the Angels with against the Angels with a fly ball type pitcher, Liberatore. I mean, like I said, we got some thin pickings down here, but he does have a decent K rate, 26% against the left side. He's going to pretty much see all righties anyway, where he's at a 19% K rate. He's got low ground ball rate, fly ball rate, 30%. I don't love Liberatore, but I mean, for the price you're looking, if you want to get a little bit different, I think he's in there. But for me, man, I like Amai and Valdez down here. Castillo, I'm not so much of a fan of. I'm willing to fade Castillo today because I think if you see Coors Field type, heavy type lineups, Nades, you're going to see a lot of Luis Castillo on them teams. I can almost virtually assure you.
Yeah, so the dry run spits out 76% Luis Castillo with a bunch of Rockies and Washington stacks. Like that's every team pretty much in the opto. So that tells you right now what everyone's going to do. In terms of the pitching, in terms of the projections in opto, it's Castillo and Imai, then Peterson, then Rocker, then Liberatore. So that just shows you the majority of the teams are going to be 2 of these spend down guys with Coors Field. So maybe circling back, maybe you just spend up on some of these guys that feel like they're overpriced, like a Burns, like a Bradish, like a Gosman, something like that to flip the build. But for me, it's definitely Valdez, my favorite guy down here, and then probably Kumar Rocker, Peterson, Imai. Those kind of guys would be next. I am a little worried on Castillo. I just think everybody's team is going to have Castillo on it. Now, you could say that's kind of just a blocker piece, but single entry stuff, 60, 70% of lineups are going to have him. That gives you a pretty clear cut to the top, right? If he goes out there and gets you, I don't know, 15 points, 12 to 15, and one of these other guys matches them or outproduces them, well, now you just jump the whole field in all your competition. He has a good play on paper. The props back him up. He's got a 5.5K prop, juice the over. So I get the reason why everyone's there. It's just, I don't know. He feels a little scary to me. I was all in pretty much on Wu last night. This is a much different spot to me personally. I just think Wu is a much better pitcher than Castillo is at this current state. So yeah, it's pretty gross. I think Liberatore is kind of interesting. 5.5K prop. It is just the under, but still, he's still got a 5.5K prop there. The Angels just been so bad lately. I know it's a much different matchup against left-handed pitching than it is right-handed pitching. But they've just been terrible. Even with Trout back in there, they still have tons of strikeouts in that lineup. So if you wanted to mess with him, I think he's interesting. But realistically, I think Peterson and Valdez are kind of the main guys that I'm looking at, and Imai, kind of those three main guys that I'm looking down here, and feels really gross. I'm going to kind of put my bats in first, Gyiraszin, and then see what pitchers. If I have the salary, I'll throw in a Chase Burns. If I don't, I'll play two of these other guys down here. It's kind of how I'm approaching it. I'm definitely going bats first in terms of my team and making sure I have the stack that I want, and then the mini stack or the secondary guy pieces that I want, and then figure out what pitching start or what kind of pitching fits from there. Go ahead and give your summary. I know it's pretty gross to give your top pitchers on this slate, but we're all dealing with the same deck of cards, and we know everyone's kind of holding they're not holding pocket aces here. They're holding Luis Castillo in the chamber. So we know that at least going in. So talk to me. Give your summary.
Yeah, like I said, pitching's kind of gross. That's why after you evaluate it and you see that price on Burns, you're just like, I ain't playing Burns at that price. But then you start looking at it thinking, wait a minute, everybody's going to get kind of drawn to the same type play here. So, I think I like Burns a little bit more than most do. I haven't played with how much of that Coors Field game I can get. I really do like Valdez more than Castillo. I think Castillo for me is kind of an easy fade, but Amaya is one of my favorite pitchers. Amaya and Valdez would probably be my favorite pitching combination. But like you said, you got a few other guys down here, maybe be a little bit uncomfortable like Liberatore. But I think pitching overall is just scary, right? Like there's nothing I really feel that's just gonna just beat you. But I think I just think here it's a tough slide in here. I think somebody here asked about Drake Cole here for Cole Drake for the D-backs. This kid's coming up here. He's basically calling up as an emergency. The dude's had starts. He's got like a 7 ERA. I'm not really interested in a kid, who's coming up in a spot start with an ERA like that down below. I do know the west side, of that, the Pacific League, I think it's called, that's like where that Sacramento Stadium and all that minor league stadiums are. The run totals are generally a run or two higher than everywhere else. So I a lot of times don't weigh too much into that, just knowing, out there in the elevation out there, Sacramento and out there in the mountains. So, but yeah, I'm not really a fan of that. There's a lot of unknowns there. Not really too interested in playing the rookie on a spot start. So not going there. You know anything about that kid, Nades?
No, I mean the PCL. Everyone's numbers are inflated just because the parks they're playing in, the weather, the temperatures, the stadium, it's everything, right? Kind of goes against them there. And the offenses are pretty solid overall in that league, anyways. So yeah, I'm still not going there. To be honest, I'd rather take a shot on just spending all the way down at $5,500 David Peterson personally myself than mess with a guy like Colt Drake at 6,300 there. I don't love it overall. So I'll go ahead and give my summary. I'll put Burns number one just because I think he has the highest ceiling on the slate. Even if he only goes 5 innings or maybe they push him 6, there's no really solidified kind of report, but based on what Vegas has, a 15.5 out prop on him, I'm expecting 6 innings kind of maximum here for Burns, but I still think he has the capability to go out there and put 7, 8, 9 strikeouts up, regardless of how long he's going to go. So I will put him number one. Valdez is going to be number 2 for me. Imai, Rocker, and then David Peterson is kind of how I'm ranking it. Liberatore would kind of be the next guy in line. And then it gets really, really gross after that. And a lot of those guys are gross anyways. And on a different slate, I probably wouldn't play any of them. But that's just the deck that we're dealing with here. Let's jump over and talk hitting here. I'm going to pull our other tab up here, the regular stone that shows the lineups overall. First game on the main slate. Remember that Yankees game is postponed. There is other weather to worry about as well. So the other main weather game on the main slate now, since that first game got postponed, is going to be the Fenway Park, the Fenway Baltimore Boston game. So when we get there, we can definitely talk about that. But it looks pretty meek or pretty bleak for the outlook there. Obviously, you're going to have to pay attention leading up to lock there, but it doesn't look great as it stands right now. But this first game on the docket, Rays, Blue Jays, Gosman, Drew Rasmussen. 2 good real-life pitchers. They both rank really good for us. We just have issues with their price points and the strikeout matchup for both these guys. But again, after looking at the pitching slate in general, I wouldn't be shocked to see 2 spend-up arms kind of be what you need. Even if Coors Field is like 9 to 8 or something like that, maybe these pitchers are the way to do it. So for me, no really offense in these spots, but talk to me. Any offense in this game?
Yeah, you got 2 good pitchers. We got 12-game slate. There's all kinds of offense here. It just ain't it in this game. So I will pass. I don't even get enough leverage to play one of the bats against the 2 pitchers. So for me, it's a pretty easy scrap game.
I agree there. Next game, Red Sox and the Orioles. Like I said, this is the weather spot to worry about for the main slate. Roth has it right now as orange-yellow. Doesn't look promising, so definitely pay attention leading up to lock. But Red Sox, I think, 13 in a row now? Something like that. Kyle Bradish, pretty solid real-life pitcher. He's looked pretty decent overall. I don't love this game, especially when you add in the weather concerns. You are going to get it super low owned because everybody sees that. It's still a 13-game slate or 12-game slate. I don't really want to take an approach that I'm at risk for PPD and have zeros across my lineup. So this is another game I don't love from offense really on either side. If you wanted to ride the hot hand in the Red Sox, but it's not like they're ripping the cover off the baseball, Gyiraszin. They're scoring like 5-6 runs and just winning it that way with their bullpen and their pitching. So talk to me here. Any offense for you?
No, this one's another one that we can pass. As you mentioned, the weather alone is enough for me. I mean, it's got a 7:10 start, so it's not like we got a later start where we can make some adjustments. It's coming right out the gate. So for me, I'll just pass. If you do choose to play it, as I always say, make sure you watch that MLB app because it'll tell you if they're warming up on the field. At least you know the players are out in the field. But, yeah, for me, I'll pass.
Yeah, I will pass as well. It takes us to the next game here, Braves and the Padres. I definitely have some interest in this Braves team here tonight. Padres bullpen is always pretty scary overall, but the back end guys are really the good guys. So if this game isn't really that close, you're not going to see really most times you're not going to see the Mason Millers of the world here. Walker Buehler returned. I mean, his last start before the All-Star game, what, he give up 6 home runs, something like that. I mean, he returned back to the guy that we have been picking on and have continued to talk about picking on every one of these shows. It finally came to fruition from him kind of getting by with smoke and mirrors. I think the Braves are super interesting here. They're going to kind of fly under the radar, especially at some of these salaries overall, because you got the Coors Field game. I mean, this Braves team over the last 30 days against right-handed pitching is very, very good. They don't strike out. They hit for a ton of power. Drake Baldwin looks really good. Matt Olson, Yastrzemski's a cheap guy in there. You got some other cheap guys. Albies coming off a home run again last night. Michael Harris. I like this Brave stack quite a bit here. Talk to me in this one.
Yeah, Braves are definitely interesting. Buehler was bad, real bad before the, I think, 3 starts? He gave up 20 runs. So not good. 6 homers, too. Quite a bit, a long ball. You're just looking at his numbers. He is better against lefties, but, man, the Braves got the lefties that I'm not generally concerned about. Olson, Baldwin, and Harris are all rightfully so pretty good. But, I mean, he's been giving up quite a bit of power to righties. So maybe, Dubon, Riley, who, does struggle, has struggled so far. But, I mean, he's been barreling up righties, too. He's got 11% barrel rate. So I think even Austin Riley is in play today, who actually has the lowest WOBA on the team against righties. But Olson's at 388, Baldwin 370. The WOBA that Buehler's given up is 335. Ground ball rate, mid ground ball lean. So I think Buehler is definitely in line to get beat up. As you mentioned, that Padre bullpen's pretty good, so it does concern me a little bit. They're going to have to get the job done and get it done early against the Padres. But, yeah, I mean, we're sitting at a game total of 9. As far as any Padres bats, I can't do it. They have been a little bit better here in recent times, but I don't have the Padres ranked up there high enough. But for me, Braves, I think, are pretty interesting. I mean, if you're looking for, other teams that maybe that you could use in, if you want to fade that Coors game, the Nats and the Rockies, I'd put the Braves in the top 3 that for the teams that I'd be looking at outside of Coors Field. So I'd put the Braves in my top 5, but top 3 outside of Coors.
Yeah, I think they're pretty interesting overall. I did want to call out a couple guys just on the Padres side. Ty France, I'm seeing way too much Ty France slobber in the chat right now. He is good, or he has been good. I don't think he's good, but he has been good, and he's still 3,200. It's just the opportunity cost at first base is pretty tough when you got, you got the Coors Field game where you have some good first basemen in there. You just have really good first basemen. I mean, you got 2 of them that I want to play in the next game that we're going to talk about in Kansas City. So the opportunity cost is there, but he is still 3,200. So if you fall on him, I think he's fine. Gavin Sheets is cheap. Jackson Merrill, lefties is really what Lopez is more susceptible to. He really just doesn't give up any power or that many fly balls to the right side. So France, I mean, you're kind of gonna have to get there by like just BABIP, doubles, singles, that kind of stuff, and that doesn't really score too well from a DFS perspective. Cronenworth is a cheap lefty in there in a good lineup spot. And that's, like I said, really what you want to target Lopez with. So it'd be the lefties, the cheap guys, Cronenworth, Merrill, Gavin Sheets are kind of the main guys if you want to look at their full 9 at bats. But the Braves bullpen's also really good. And the Padres is not a great offense in general. So definitely more interest on the Braves side. And I think that mini stack of Baldwin, Albies, Olson right at the top, even throwing Harris there, I think it's really interesting. I don't love Austin Riley, but he's hitting 4th in that stack at a cheap price point. So I get the reasoning there. Next spot here, Mets, Brewers, Brandon Sproat on the mound. He can be susceptible if he doesn't have his command, but he's still a decent pitcher, I think, overall. Zach Thornton, don't really know what's up with him, but he is a lefty against the Brewers where they typically struggle. Vaughn is locked in right now. You're going to get Lara in there. Cooper Pratt's been red hot too. Jackson Churio. I think the Brewers make some sense on the slate. I kind of put them in that same category as kind of the Braves as you're fading Coors Field, going to an upside stack like that. But this is a game I don't love overall from offense. I think you could play either side in larger field stuff. I'll definitely have my standard overweight approach in my MME set on some of the Brewers stacks. And if I'm playing the Brewers, it's a 5 stack or nothing. That's just how I play them because they don't hit a lot of home runs. So it's either all in or really nothing. So I kind of make a rule in SaberSim. If I'm playing any Brewers, it's really a 5-man stack or nothing is how I set it up. But talk to me here, Milwaukee and the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, you got Thornton, as you mentioned, a lefty. I mean, I'm already on defense mode with the Brewers against the lefty. Just kind of looking, though, he does have a high – he's got a pretty high fly ball lean. I mean, he's at 36% to the right side, 42 to the left side. Mid ground ball lean to the left side. But, I mean, you did mention Lara. I think Lara is interesting. The dude's been hitting the shit out of the ball. Vaughn, too. I don't overly love it. But, I mean, I'd leave him in my pool if I had a deeper. I think they'd be more of like a mini stack where I could maybe play Vaughn, Sanchez, and Laura, maybe kind of go 4, 5, 7 maybe in the lineup. If you're looking, I mean, that should be fairly cheap. That does have some power upside against the fly ball pitcher. So I think that's where I'd be at. I see what you're saying. If you were just going to full stack it, there is a little bit of pinch hit risk there. But, yeah, I mean, normally we like the Brewers against, fly ball pitcher. Anytime I see a ground ball pitcher against the Brewers, it's just something that I generally don't like to explore, especially on a bigger slate like this with 12 games. That does scare me. But, I mean, yeah, best team in baseball with the best record. I mean, you got a fly ball pitcher, not going to be owned. So I don't mind it. I don't overly love it. As far as any Mets go, I'm not interested in playing any Mets at this point against Sproat, but yeah, I'll just pass. I think there's other spots that we'll like.
Yeah, so I mean, here's your fly ball guys for the Brewers against left-handed pitching at home on the season. So Churio, Contreras, Vaughn, Ortiz. I did just want to pull this up and just show you how easy it is. So the Stone 2.0, all I did was type in Brewers here, hit height let's do show hitter stats here. So you can see, right, fly ball rate right here. You can sort it. Ground ball rate. So Yelich obviously always hits the ball on the ground. Mitchell, same thing, lefty. So that shows you right there. But I do think the back half of the Brewers lineup, if I'm stacking it, I think is interesting just because they're super cheap. Even a mini stack, I probably wouldn't throw out with the Sanchez, the Laras, the Pratts, the Ortiz of the world. Ortiz hit a bomb last night. He's 2,700 at third base and shortstop. Shortstop's pretty weak position if you're not paying all the way up to the top with guys like CJ Abrams, Bobby Witt. So I think that's an interesting, just little pull catcher, pull spots off here, I think, too. And maybe you do that in like a Nat stack, right? It feels gross leaving off Abrams, but everybody's going to have Abrams in their in their Nat stack. Maybe you throw in a Joey Ortiz and a Gary Sanchez or a Cooper Pratt and a Gary Sanchez and leave Abrams off. And then you have a different Nat stack there, and it allows you maybe to get up to another spend-up pitcher instead of eating the Castillo chalk, something like that. I think is kind of interesting. But, yeah, I don't love it compared to some of the other spots on the slate. Next game here, Kauffman Stadium. Tyler Mahle, Avila on the mound. I love the Giants here tonight. I played them last night. They didn't really get the job done, but I still had a solid night overall. They did enough because I nailed the home runs from Ramos and Adames and some of the other guys in there. I'm going back to the well here. I like attacking on a slate like this. I like attacking bad bullpens, and Kansas City's bullpen is absolutely atrocious. There is some wind blown in, but it's still going to be 90-some degrees in Kauffman Stadium. Bad bullpen, a guy who I just not a believer in Avila. I don't think he's a very good pitcher. And then the Royals, I don't think is the worst play either on the other side of that game. Both these teams have terrible bullpens in this game here. Solid enough hitting environment overall in retrospect to the other spots on the slate. It's outside of Coors Field. There's really not great spots across the board for hitting. I like this game here a decent amount. More lean on the Giants for me personally, but how do you see this one?
Yeah, I like both sides, actually. So Avila is just horrible to the right side with his control. The dude in 94 plate appearances so far, it's not like it's a really small sample. I mean, 94, you just generally don't see a 20% walk rate. Like that's just terrible. But I mean, you look over at the walk rates of Casey Schmidt. I mean, the dude barely walks. He's a righty, 2.8%. And then you're looking at Ramos, 4.6%, and Willie Adames, 6%. So the three righties he's going to see, they don't walk either. So that's kind of takes that away from him. But yeah, as you mentioned, that Kansas City bullpen is just absolutely terrible. I do like Devers. I think they got some power in that lineup that could be had. As far as Kansas City goes against Male, I think that's interesting too. It's something that we might want to look at. I mean, Male kind of reverse splitsy, had a lot of contact to the right side, so I'm not sure if we're going to get Bobby Witt in there today. That might damper a few things for the Royals. I don't think we're going to get Bobby Witt.
No, he's out. Yeah, Bobby Witt's out.
Yeah. But like Caglione, I think would be interesting. Top of that lineup is fairly cheap. So I think I like the Giants more than I like the Royals against Male. But Male is just, like I said, reverse splitsy, gets barreled up by righties at 10%. So I wouldn't be afraid to put some righties in your stacks. I have a few teams higher. I wouldn't have these guys in my top 5. Maybe the Giants would maybe be like 5. Outside, like with the Braves. I do like the Braves a little bit more than the Giants, but I think they're in play. They're in the bucket for teams that I think could compete with the Coors Field game, just because that Royals bullpen's just been so bad.
Yeah, the Royals bullpen's bad. Both of these pitchers rank really bad in our pitcher rankings. The hitters are all going to be low owned for the most part. So it just sets up to be a pretty good game environment, a pretty good stack. And the nice thing I like about this is you can spend up pitching with this game and totally flip the build on its head on what everyone else is going to do. Everyone else is going to go to Coors Field. They're going to plug in Luis Castillo and figure out what SP2 fits, whether it's Imai, Liberatore, Rocker, any of these cheaper guys down here. If you go ahead and you throw in a Chase Burns and like a Framber Valdez, and your cheapest pitcher is more expensive than the guys that people are starting their team with in Luis Castillo at 7,600, I think that's an interesting way to build. And you got a 5 implied run total here for the Giants, almost a 5 implied run total from the Royals. You got 9 innings of pretty bad pitching overall. Royals bullpen's pretty taxed as well. Low ownership on the stacks. It just, everything makes sense to me with my tournament mind. So I will definitely be overweight on both sides, but I really like the Giants quite a bit because it gets you a different roster construction than what everyone else is going to do. Obviously, I like Coors Field just like everyone else, but I'm looking for different areas to attack to get a little bit different as well. Next spot here, White Sox and the Rangers. Talked about Kumar Rocker in terms of pitching just because of how bad the pitching slate is overall. But, man, this White Sox team has murdered right-handed pitching all year, and now they got Show Heavy back in there. Murakami back in there, which helps a ton. Yeah, he strikes out a lot, but he also can hit 2-3 home runs at any given moment. I love the lefties here. If you're going to them, Rocker gives up a ton of power to the left side. Tristan Peters, Murakami, Antonasi, Benintendi, Colson Montgomery, the other Montgomery in there, Braden. I think the White Sox are super, super sneaky here on this slate. So I'm seeing like sub 10% ownership for a 5-man stack. This might be one of my favorite stacks overall on the slate. Talk to me here. How do you see this in this one? I know the park sucks, but this park had some runs overall. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I mean, I know we talked a little bit about Kumar on the pitching side, but as I mentioned then, I think I'd rather have the lefties of the White Sox. So, I mean, you got Murakami, as you said, coming back, Montgomery, Benintendi. I mean, you don't even have to put Vargas in your stack, which is a pretty high, expensive bat, and I still think it has a ton of upside. So, for me, I think the White Sox are definitely in play. I think I got them right on par with the Braves as a team that maybe they're even a little bit ahead of the Braves, actually. So, yeah, I mean, Murakami's got a 4.14 WOBA against right-handed pitching. So, I mean, they've just been crushing. I think they could easily get the job done here today. One of the best teams against lefties. So give me all the White Sox I can get. I'm not really interested in any of the Rangers against Schultz. So I'll pass there. If you were interested in any of the Rangers, Josh Jung's got a 4.04 WOBA Foscue at the top of that lineup's been pretty good against lefties too. So maybe a couple one-off bats if you wanted there. But yeah, I really do like some White Sox here tonight.
Yeah, so Rocker gives up a ton of barrels to the left side. So Murakami right here with his 20% barrel rate. Montgomery, Benintendi, Drew Romo is a catcher, switch hitting guy. This is pretty tough sledding here, I think, for Rocker. Facing 7 lefties where he has a better K rate there, but he also gives up a shit ton of power. And I mean, Rocker can just rock himself right out of any game, right? Because of his command, and he just hasn't come to his pedigree hasn't come to fruition yet. There's been flashes of upside there, but there's been way more downside than there has been upside. And White Sox going to be unowned. They've mashed right-handed pitching all year. It all shakes out to me to be a pretty solid spot overall here. You're talking about a top 10 team in OPS over the last month, top 6 in OPS against right-handed pitching, and you get a pretty bad righty overall in Kumar Rocker. So I love me some lefties from the White Sox, and then don't forget about Vargas either. He's been one of the better hitters all season. He is expensive. Does feel gross to pay that, but he's got just as much upside as majority of the people are the hitters on the slate overall. And then Jock Jams has been red hot. Good thing he's not in the lineup against a lefty there. So Sean Sully, Ham can live to see another day. Takes us to Wrigley here. David Peterson, Framber Valdez, 2 of my favorite pitchers on the slate, just because the hitting environment here are going to be a complete 180. We see this all summer long, really. Pretty much all season long with Wrigley. When the wind's blowing out, it usually plays above average. I know you hate the wind games in Wrigley, but the Tigers got the job done late yesterday. This is going to be super hitter friendly or pitcher friendly, tonight here. You got like 20-some mile-an-hour wind gust blowing in. And you got two ground ball guys overall anyways in this game. So I don't love it. I mean, you're looking at almost 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds blowing in here. No offense for me. I mean, the Cubs have broken slates when it's been 35 degrees outside. I can't go here. I think there's much better spots overall than go to this one. But talk to me here. Any interest in Wrigley?
I don't have any interest. I mean, I do like both sides of the mound. As I said, Framber would be one of my favorite plays, but Framber has been bad in 2 of his last 4 starts where he just got absolutely shelled. So last 2 out of 3, actually. His last start was really good. The Cubbies do have some bats on the right side that you would want to attack Framber, but then you see that wind blowing in as it is. It does worry you. The other thing, too, that long game yesterday, both sides used quite a bit of bullpen arms. So I think they're going to rely on Framber to give him 6 innings tonight. So that's why I do like Framber. It just seems to be more pitcher friendly. So, yeah, I'll just pass on the bats. But I'll tell you, if the wind was blowing out a little bit more and it wasn't as heavy blowing in, I would leave the Cubbies in my pool just because of Framber's been so up and down. And the fact that he's getting ownership, I would leave the Cubbies in. But just because the wind's blowing in, it kind of negates all that for me. But, I mean, it would be there if that wind was neutral, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of these squads are going to have to rely as much as they can on both these starting pitchers. Obviously, more so on the Framber side. I mean, that's why you see his out prop 17.5, heavy juice to the over. Peterson still has a 15.5 out prop. It is juice to the under, but I mean, you look at the Cubs, they used 7 arms yesterday. The Tigers used 5 arms. So, much better, much different spot here. It's all pitching for me in that one. Next spot on the slate, Astros, Marlins. Sean Sully said he's loaded up on some of these fish against Imai, a pitcher that we both liked. But, I mean, there's just as much downside as there upside for a guy like him. He can be wild. The Marlins do have some kind of sneakier bats overall, especially against right-handed pitching. Joe Mack hit a bomb for me last night. He was on my main team. He's still cheap. I love him. Stowers, if he's finally back in there, which would be a huge boost to this lineup. Conine. There is some pinch hit risk overall, but Astros really bad bullpen in general, and all their lefties are in the back half, right? The Josh Haders of the world, they're kind of set up their end, the back end of the bullpen. And Houston used 4 bullpen arms yesterday. You talk about they got to be the most taxed bullpen on the slate. 29 pitchers from Hader in the last 3. Okert's at 33. AJ's at 40. Abreu's at 43. Tang's at 46. And Los Santos is at 47, coming off of 22 pitches yesterday. 28 pitches from Abreu. I mean, I can see it. If MI doesn't have it, it could be a big night ahead for the Marlins. And you can also make the counter argument. Maybe they rely on MI more, and that's why we had. But this is definitely – MI is not an ace by any means. I think you can play both sides of it. Marlins are pretty interesting overall in tournaments. Just when you look in the bullpen, this team is fairly solid. Can be solid at times, especially against right-handed pitching. Talk to me here. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I mean, even though I do like him, he does struggle, obviously, we mentioned with control. So, I mean, he's got a 14.5 walk rate against lefties, which is concerning. His ISO's 203, but 369. Isn't getting hardly that many ground balls, 37% compared to 60% to the right side. So, yeah, I mean, lefty's been hard. He's been giving up a lot of barrels, 12.5%. But I just think Amai's in a pretty good spot. It's one of those spots to where you could play him or you could play against him. I think you could use him either way. And, you know, we were struggling for pitching with a little bit of upside like Amai. I mean, to the right side, he's either walking you or it seems like he's striking your ass out. Like, I mean, that's pretty much half of the batters, like 30% K rate, 14% walk rate. Like, I mean, so to me, I think it's an interesting spot. I don't love it. I think there's just too good of offense. I mean, the next game here we're going to talk about, it's got a stinking total of 13. So, yeah, I mean, that one there, I'm going to see how many games of the Marlins lost in a row and you're back. I don't give a shit if they win or not. I just need some home runs. So,
yeah,
I could care less. You could ask me the standings on a regular season, I'd be the dumbest dude you could talk to about standings. I do not give 1 ounce of 2 shits about standings in DFS baseball.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, this is DFS in a nutshell, right? Everyone lives in a world of what have you done for me lately? That's obvious, right? If that wasn't the case, I mean, you would never get a low-owned team and be on have a GPP winner before everyone else jumps on, right? It's the same thing. A guy hits a home run yesterday, now everybody jumps on him, and vice versa. There's sports or football, right? The stack, the wide receiver running back stack with the quarterback went off. So then the opposing stack the next week against that same team is mega chalk, falls on their face, right? It's just, I don't care. It's a guy, it's a starting pitcher who's probably projections wise, dry run wise, the second highest owned pitcher behind Castillo on the slate because of that, right? Everyone sees that. Oh, Marlins lost a ton. The projections love MI because of that. They haven't. But, I mean, the Marlins are also getting another lefty power bat back in Kyle Stowers. MI gives up power. He gives up fly balls. He has command issues to the left side, and you got a tax bullpen, which is not good behind him, right? So can you play MI? Absolutely, against the Marlins. But there's very, very easily, I would not be shocked to see the Marlins be on some winners. Joe Mack did it for me last night. Liam Hicks hit a bomb again last night. I mean, I go right back to Conine, Stowers. Yeah, so that's kind of my take on that. It's not that I'm backing the Marlins to win this game. I care about fantasy points at the end of the day, and I think they can score fantasy points here tonight against a chalky starting pitcher and a tax bullpen.
They could lose 10-8 and hit 4 2-run homers, and they could be on the winner.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, nothing else matters besides tonight, really. It doesn't matter what the game logs say. I mean, you can have the hottest hitter in the world come in and get a goose egg the next night when everybody jumps on him and he's 60% owned or whatever, right? So make it correlated to any sport you want. It always holds true. Everyone lives in a recency, what have you done for me lately world, and that's why you see concentrated ownership in every sport in DFS. So next spot, Nationals, Rockies. This is going to be the chalkiest spot on the slate for good reason. Both teams. You're going to see a ton of game stacks of this game because the spend-up pitching feels pretty bleak overall, and outside of maybe a Chase Burns, but Chase Burns is 11-5 on a slate when you got Luis Castillo projections-wise that is right there with him, and he's 7,600. You're going to see a ton of this game stacked up with MI and Castillo teams. It's hard to get away from it. Nationals been the best offense in baseball. Now get a really, really friendly matchup in Lorenzen. You got wind blowing out here, super hot and humid in Coors Field. Going to play even more home run friendly, which obviously we know this park is not a great home run park in general, but it's going to play home run friendly again here tonight. Lorenzen's been atrocious to the left side. Wood, Garcia, Abrams, Keibert Ruiz, Dalen Lyle. even Nunez, don't forget about him hitting in the back half. I mean, this team, any which way, full 9 at bats. They scored, 8 runs or something like that yesterday with a couple home runs. It's hard to argue against this spot. And then you got Mikolas on the other side for the Rockies. McCarthy, Carrig looks really good. Hunter Goodman's always got a ton of power. He's a spend up to be fairly contrarian up at the top at 6,100. Castro, Rumfield. I mean, this looks like the best spot, and it is the best spot on paper. It's really hard to ignore when you kind of put it up against the rest of the slate. Obviously, yesterday we had the win game in Wrigley that pulled a bunch of ownership away from it. Not the case here tonight. Talk to me. How do you see this one? Are you kind of pushing the chips in and going to get a little different? I know you already said you're kind of under on Castillo, myself as well. So that should be majority of a difference maker when you're playing this game. But how do you see this one?
Yeah, unless you're totally different at pitcher and that pitcher goes off for you that you chose and just, smashes everybody by 10 or 12 points. Like, you're literally going to have to be perfect on your choices in this game. Like, literally. If you think you're going 1, 2, 3, 5 or, top of the lineups and pretty, you're going to be like everybody else. And the guy that has the 8-hitter that hits, has 4 RBIs tonight is the guy that's going to win. You literally are going to have to be perfect. If you play this game and it goes off and it ends up being the winner will have all the top bats in that exact game. Not even -1. It will all be them all because you will not be able to fade. You're going to have to be perfect because the ownership's going to be so high. So for me, you're going to have to get tricky with it a little bit. Maybe play some wraparounds. Maybe just mix up your lineups. Don't play a majority of the same guys in the same lineup. Make some of those Nats lineups without a Wood or an Abrams, or, try to mix it up a little bit. So yeah, if you decide to play this game, just know in any other chalky circumstance, you're going to have to be perfect all the way across the board because somebody's going to have that right combination because this game's being played so heavily. So for me, I mean, the opportunity's there for like a Braves or a Giants or, even like a Royals that we discussed, because if those teams go off, you're only going to have to be 5, 8, 10% of the field. You're not going to have to be as perfect. You might only have to have the 2 big guys in them bats. So, yeah, for me, I mean, I could see why you would want to fade it. But, I mean, you're either going to have to go overboard with it. And, if you're playing like 20 teams and you're going to basically 20 it or 18 teams, you're going to go that route. I just go full overboard on it and just kind of mix in your lineup. If you're playing one team, my suggestion is to fade cores, play maybe some higher end pitching, and go that route. I think you got a better chance to the top. It seems to be easier for me to see myself getting to the top that way than me having to be exactly perfect with all my bat choices and then for my pitcher to hit. So, I think you got to make some choices in that game because just know it's going to be heavily on. I mean, I think Wood and CJ Abrams are going to be 50% plus.
Yeah, definitely single entry stuff, and that's how you can be different. It feels gross leaving off CJ Abrams or Wood, right? Lorenzen's atrocious against the left side. But throw in a Curtis Mead, throw in a Jacob Young, a Dylan Cruz, some of those righties, or even a Nunez who's going to hit 8th or 9th at 4K. Throw in him. I mean, that back half, you look at Cruz, Young, Nunez, I'd be shocked if those guys are much over 10%, right? Whereas the top of the lineup's all going to be 25, 30, 40% owned, depending on what contest you're in, right? So you are going to have to be perfect to your point, right? I'm back on Darren's side here now because it's going to come down to one-offs, right? It's going to come down to the one-off. It's going to come down to the 1, 2, 6, 7, 8 or something, right? Kind of a really weird gap, missed all the middle of the lineup, something like that. But it's really hard to get away from. You're going to see MME players just shove all the chips in and just hope to hit the right lottery ticket in this game. It's just really hard to get away from. The Rockies bullpen is pretty rested. It is a slight concern, but the Nats been so good against both sides of the plate, or both handedness. The Nats bullpen is much more beat up, in my opinion, or much more taxed than what the Rockies is, and it's not a great bullpen either. So if you wanted to get a little lower ownership, it's the Rockies side, but projections are actually pushing that side more when you run the dry run. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, in a situation like we're in here with the Nats, I think actually one of the best plays you can do today is take out Wood and put in Alvarez in there. So that's what I would do. I mean, Alvarez is a fucking beast. Like, you can take him out, pretty much swap them two out. If Alvarez beats Wood tonight and Wood has a decent night, you're going to be ahead of everybody else. Like, maybe look for some guys worth some high-end upside that you could swap out that are going to be high. Oh, like, people are going to look at that and be like, I'm not taking Wood out of my lineup. How many people are going to put in, Valdez over him? So I think that's something that Jordan, I should say. Well, I get Framber and Jordan mixed up all the time. But so Jordan for me is a guy that I would definitely be willing to swap out for Wood. I think that's a decent play.
Yeah, or a Juan Soto at the catcher, leave off C.J. Abrams, play an Ellie De La Cruz, a Gunnar Henderson, a Colson Montgomery, something like that, right? Little things like that. Or play Nat Stack and leave out Wood and Abrams. Leave out both of them, Wood and Abrams. Play Curtis Mead, play Dalen Lyle, play Nunez, play Keibert Ruiz, some of these other lefties. And then you have maybe that gets you up to a guy like Chase Burns or Kevin Gausman or something like that instead of a Luis Castillo, right? So there's definitely ways to play this differently than the field. You're going to have to get unique when you do it, but it is by far and away the best game on the slate. It's very hard to get away from, but I do like the main team. One of my main teams is going to go in on it. One of them is probably not even going to play anyone from this game, and that's the benefits of a portfolio, and obviously not everyone can do that, but I do think it's very hard to ignore that game on the slate. Takes us to the next game, Angels, Cardinals, Liberatore, Urena on the mound. Cardinals, I think, are kind of interesting. Urena is kind of smoke and mirrors. He's been really good in real life, but one of these times is going to come back crashing down to earth here. Cardinals have some sneaky upside at times here, but I don't love this game on really either side. Angels, you got some ready power like a Mike Trout who's going to be unowned on this slate at 5,200, a Neto at shortstop who's going to be unowned because guys like Wood and Abrams, like we talked about, even the Rockies guys, right? The Moniacs, the McCarthys of the world, the even Tovar, things like that are going to get much more ownership. So you can make that case, but I don't love this game overall from a DFS stacking perspective. But how do you see it?
Yeah, I don't love it either. Urena does walk a ton of dudes to the left side. The Cardinals are pretty patient from the left side, but we're not looking for walks. We're looking for homers. Urena just gives up a ton of ground balls, so I'd be out on that. Liberatore, like we said, we liked on the other side. So I'd just rather play Liberatore than for me to go after these Angels. I mean, Liberatore has been getting barreled up a little bit, but I think I'd just rather play him. I mean, he's got ground ball lean to the left side, hasn't been giving up too many ground balls to the right side. But I mean, it's just the Angels have been tough. I don't think I have the Angels ranked up high enough here tonight to fool with them on this slate.
Yeah, so Colson Montgomery got scratched, but they put in Acuna, another shortstop who's, I think he's probably, 2K. He doesn't have a lot of power, but he has stolen base. I mean, he's got a ton of speed. So that maybe gets you up to a guy like Chase Burns differently there. Definitely hurts the White Sox stack overall, but I don't think it's a end-all, be-all. I still like some of those lefties for sure from Chicago. Didn't want to circle back and hit on that. 2 games left to talk about. The next one, Athletics, D-backs. Cole Drake making his start kind of out of urgency here. You could go to some of these A's. Guy like Shea Langeliers is going to be unowned at 5,400 at catcher. He's always got a ton of power, especially against left-handed pitching. Colby Thomas. I don't love it overall. D-backs are going to get a lot of ownership on this slate, and I don't see it. I mean, they could get there. They could do their thing. Ketel Marte is still too cheap. I think Perdomo is still too cheap. You got Corbin Carroll if he's back in there. I think those 3 guys are playable just about any time they're on the slate. But I don't love the D-backs a ton here. I know the A's bullpen's not great. Jack Perkins hasn't been good, but I do think he's still got some pedigree. He's still got some strikeout potential in there. Really good K per 9 number. Talk to me. How do you see this one?
As far as K's goes, Perkins ain't bad. 32% of the left side, 22 to the right. He is getting barreled up on the right side. A little reverse splitsy, 9%. His WOBA's 355. Ground ball rates are not there. Fly ball rates pretty high to the right side, 40%. So I could see why. I mean, the lefties for me, the D-backs, I don't have them like ranked up there with the White Sox and the Braves and all them, but I could see an argument to go against Perkins in that bullpen of the A's. So I don't mind it. I just, the D-backs just haven't been a team I've really latched onto all that much. We got a game total sitting at 9.5. Yeah, I mean, Corbin Carroll, if he's in there, that definitely makes that lineup a lot better, obviously. And maybe that bumps it up for me. I'd have to see that and see Corbin Carroll in that lineup. But yeah, I think it's doable. I just don't love it.
Yeah, I actually think the righty power guys, but there's just not a lot of them either, right? From them, I mean, Arenado, I guess if you wanted to go there, Moreno. I think those righties, Perkins is reverse splitsy, lower strikeouts, a lot more power to the right side. So you're looking at that. But I mean, yeah, you got some cheap guys like a Waldschmidt who's dirt cheap, Arenado, like I said, Tawa, who's cheap. So if those guys fit and you kind of flip the build and then get up to some of those spend up Coors bats and afford some of the spend up pitching, but it's just a lot of teams are going to be like that, at least from running the dry run and taking a look at teams. A lot of these Arizona pieces of guys, 2- and 3-man stacks are going to be fillers around that Coors Field, whether you're 5-stacking the Rockies, 5-stacking the Nats. There's just going to be a lot of similar builds like that. So that does have me a little concerned with a lineup that I just don't think is that great overall at its current state. Last game of the slate, two of the best starting pitcher plays on the slate. Going to have all the leverage in the world. I think an Elly De La Cruz is super interesting. I know the park sucks, or JJ Bleday. I mean, Bleday's been really, really good all year, and he's 4,100, going up with the highest owned pitcher on the slate. Yeah, the park sucks, like I said, but Bleday has a ton of power. It doesn't matter what field he's on. Elly De La Cruz has a ton of upside always, and they're going to be. I mean, Ellie's a direct pivot right off of CJ Abrams. Yeah, does it feel gross playing Elly De La Cruz against Luis Castillo over CJ Abrams against Michael Lorenzen? Yes, but all he has to do is outscore him on one night, one given day. I don't think it's the worst play, but this is not a game that I love for offense outside of just to close your eyes and play the leverage against Castillo. If I had to pick a side, it'd be much more on the red side of things than the Mariners. But Chase Burns, props-wise, would suggest he's going 5, maybe 6 innings maximum. And then you got a pretty bad Reds bullpen behind him. But it's more Reds just with the leverage you get off of Castillo, if anything, and really those Bleday and Elly up at the top.
Yeah, that'd be about it. Maybe I just play some one-offs. We don't like the park, so it's not really a slate I want to get too cute with offense just because we got such a powerful game total sitting 13. We got a bunch of 9s up there on the board. So I'm not going to get too fancy here and try to jam some stuff in a park that we very rarely would play. So I'm not going to go there. But I mean, guys like that in that situation, like an Elly who can steal a bag, kind of helps helps too. So yeah, I don't mind that if you're looking for like a one-off type play, maybe to get a little different from Abrams or something like that, if you want to do something like that. But yeah, I mean, this one here just not getting it for me for offense.
Yeah, I agree. Takes it then to show your favorite pitching combination, your top 3 stacks, and then a home run call if you have one.
I mean, I like Framber and Amai on DK. I think Chase Burns would be in play too, just because they're trying to flip some builds if you're not going to look at that Coors stacks. Obviously, the 2 Coors stacks would be up there, but I think the White Sox are definitely interesting for me today. I think the Giants are interesting. Astros, Braves, I think would be interesting. Those would be up there in my top 4. Home run call, I'm going to Murakami. I think Murakami hits a homer. That seems kind of easy, but I mean, that's where I'm going. I think he hits one.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to go Framber, Valdez, and then I'm going to go my other pitcher is going to probably be – I'm just going to pair them both up. I'm going to go David Peterson. It feels gross. Top 3 stacks, Nats number 1, obviously, as everyone would say. Rockies are up there too, but outside of that, I'm looking at the Giants. I like the Giants quite a bit here. And then the White Sox. I'm with you on the White Sox. I like that. My home run call, I'm going to ride the hot hand. I'm going to go to a guy who's going to be unowned and is cheap. Joey Ortiz. I'm going to think he gets another one here I think the roof is open again in Milwaukee as well. Pretty decent weather, and you got a starting pitcher who has some ability to give up some home runs. So kind of off the wall, Joey Ortiz, but I'll ride the hot hand with some Joey Ortiz against the lefty there. The Brewers.
Oh, cool. Wouldn't have guessed.
No. But that's going to do it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're not a member yet, SHIP19 is the code as you see up there on the screen. All the content is live. We'll be in the Discord answering any questions leading up to lock. But should be a fun night ahead. And for Gyiraszin, I'm Nades. Good luck tonight in those contests. Hope to see those Ship Nation logos at the top. We're out of here. Peace.